Hey, what's going on? My name's Vit, and just the other day I managed to clear T for the first time. The Epic of Alexander. It's an ultimate raid that came out back in Shadowbringers. A few years old now at this point, quite a few years, but I just cleared it for the first time in 2024, and it has been some of the most fun content that I've done in Final Fantasy XIV in recent memory. It was a great time. I managed to get it done in about 2 weeks, roughly. Realistically, it only took 8 days of actually playing the game, actually going into PF. 8 days, maybe two to 3 hours. Some of those days went up to about 6 hours on the weekend when I had a bit more time. But, nothing too crazy, pretty much, average amount of time for playing a video game after work and on the weekend, in my opinion, at least for me. So I didn't go too hard with it, and I still managed to get it done in 8 days. And that was due to a lot of the extra studying and practice that I did outside of my time that I was actually playing the game in Party Finder. There's some really good sims out there for some of the mechanics or simulations of, the different mechanics in this fight. And I definitely took full advantage of those. I'll talk about that a bit later in this video. But I kind of just want to go over the experience of doing this in Party Finder. It's my first time ever PFing an ultimate, start to finish. All my past ultimates that I've done have been with statics, with friends. So this was a very different experience, and it was honestly just as fun, if not more. Part of that's due to this being an awesome fight, even in 2024. It's still great to go back and do T. But, yeah, I don't know. We're just going to jump into it and share my experience of, PFing this fight. But I also want to give some advice to anybody out there who's maybe thinking about doing this fight or any other Savage or Ultimate in Party Finder, because I definitely did learn a lot. So towards the end of the video, we're going to get into some of that as well. So be sure to stick around. But I'm just going to roll the footage from my first clear and talk over it, and just, give my thoughts along the way. So let's just jump right into that first. Okay, so this fight is honestly just super fun the entire time. A lot of this fight consists of there being 2 bosses on the field at the same time. I played Dragoon, which really leans into that fact with the 2 bosses. You've got, your dot that you can apply to each of them. You've got a bunch of really good 2-target cleaving abilities with, your Skogul, Nostrand, Dragonfire. It's just really fun. Any job that has that sort of stuff is going to be a blast in this fight. And just watching those 2 bosses throughout, you have to balance their HP. If they ever get above a 5% difference from one another, you wipe pretty much immediately. So you've always got to balance their HP. It's super fun. This first phase is chaotic and there's a lot going on, but once you figure it out, it becomes like a science. Like, you know what you're doing. When those dolls popped up a minute ago and you have to take them down below 25% HP, that's always stressful because if you crit, they blow up and, the party wipes. But, yeah, I don't know. I got it pretty consistent by the end, so I had fun with it. This whole first phase is so quick. As you can see, the boss is already below 20% HP and we're, a minute into the fight. But this first phase was so much fun. The first time we jumped in here in a fresh party, we got through this phase day 1. We made it all the way to limit cut. I jumped in here with a friend from the community, Garnet, and they, we kind of urged each other to start this fight and get through it. And funnily enough, we both cleared on the same day. We started the same day. We both cleared the same day. And I don't know, I had a lot of fun progging this fight alongside them. And, I don't know, this fight was just so much fun. This first phase, doing it over and over again, never got old to me for some reason. But here we're coming up on limit cut, which is kind of the first roadblock to this fight. Luckily enough, this is a mechanic that you can sim. So running this in the simulator on the website made it super easy for me. The first time I saw this, I knew what to do, and I've made maybe like, I can probably count on one hand the amount of mistakes I've made in limit cut while progging this fight, and I attribute that to the simulator. It was a huge help for me. But, you know, day 2, we got through that and made it to BJCC here, phase 2. And this was the real roadblock for this fight. This is where myself and PF struggled the most. And a lot of people say this fight's front-loaded, and that's really the truth. This phase in itself is difficult because, as you can see over my head here, you get a debuff that you have to kind of pass back and forth with your partners throughout this phase. And if you accidentally touch somebody else by accident and pass that debuff when you're not supposed to, it's pretty much a wipe, guaranteed. So you have to be really careful with your movement, and while everybody's still learning this phase, they might not be super sure on where they need to go, so their movement kind of becomes erratic, and, you know, it's very likely to bump into people while you're still learning this. And there's just a lot going on in this phase. There's a lot of weird movement that you have to do. There's these stacks. It gets scary in quite a few instances. There's a lot of these passes. You have to be super careful throughout this phase. But, you know, once you learn it, it's very consistent. And once you get familiar with how your party's moving after, you know, a couple pulls, it's just, you know, it feels really fun to do. It can be scary for sure, but I had a lot of fun with this phase. But I really did get walled pretty hard here in Party Finder. It took until, I believe, day 5 to get through this phase. So the majority of my time spent progging this fight was just locked into this phase. Day 3 and 4, we were kind of really struggling with like limit cut in Party Finder. The parties that I was joining were, you know, supposedly BJCC phase 2 prog parties, but they were, you know, a lot of people still didn't know how to do limit cut at that point. But then by like day 5, I was joining phase 3 parties, and we were still struggling to get through phase 2. But eventually we made it through. Eventually we saw the end of this phase that you're seeing right now. We just finished our final passes there, and now, you know, you have to balance the boss's HP, because if one dies too early before the other, it'll start going into enrage and kill everybody. Luckily, we actually never saw that. We got close once or twice. That was a bit of an interesting move with the both bosses going to the one side there. Couldn't hit it. That's funny. But yeah, there were a few things that went wrong in this pull. I actually die coming up in Inception. But yeah, by day 5, I had made it to this point here. And this whole phase, phase 3, Alexander Prime, is the most sim-heavy phase. You can sim every mechanic in this phase. So this whole part, time stop, I knew exactly how to do that before I ever saw it for the first time, and I, to this day, have never made a mistake in that mechanic. I can't say the same for Inception coming up, as you'll see. I died to that one in this pull, but I just ended up going to the wrong side. But this whole phase is really cool. Being able to sim it made it really consistent for me. A lot of people struggle with Wormhole, the final mechanic in this phase, but that's another mechanic that I've yet to screw up. I don't know. The sim, I spent a lot of time in there when I wasn't PFing, so I was really able to commit these mechanics to memory and just do them correctly very consistently compared to many of the other people that I was playing with in Party Finder. So a lot of the time I was just waiting on the party to catch up. You know, that's not been the case so far in the past for a lot of things, but with this fight, yeah, you'll see here, I just go to the wrong side. I go to the tank side when I'm supposed to be on the DPS side for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but I die here. And yeah, I just had the arena flipped around in my head. I went to the wrong side, but it's all good. We still managed. And then the cleaves killed 2 other people there. That was not my fault. But we had 3 deaths in this phase, and we still got through it, no problem. The DPS checks in this fight are really not bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have best in slot gear. I have the best in slot weapon, but none of the actual like dungeon gear or savage raid gear that you could have to be doing even more damage. But yeah, I don't know. This whole phase, like, we've still got Wormhole coming up here, which is probably one of, if not the biggest roadblocks in this fight. Just because it's later into the fight and, you know, there's a lot going on, but in my mind, it works exactly like Limit Cut from the start of the fight with like 1 or 2 extra steps. And if you know how those 1 or 2 extra steps work, you should be able to do this pretty consistently, especially if you sim it. Again, I will probably drop a link below to the sim that I used, the website. Again, it's just basically like a flash game that you can play on a website that lets you run these mechanics with a party of like bots. So you can just get the reps in without having to wait in Party Finder, without having to find a party that can consistently get here and, you know, wipe to the mechanic over and over again. So the first time I ever got to Wormhole, I did it correctly. And that's the beauty of the sim. It just saves you so much time in Party Finder, like waiting for parties, getting a consistent party that can make it this far, and, you know, if you're able to show up and one-shot it, it's, like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. People can say the sim is cheating or whatever, but I don't know. To me, this fight is, you know, what, 4 years old at this point? I don't know the exact timing, but, like... The sims have been invaluable for all of the ultimates that I've done. DSR, we probably used the sim the least. This one was probably the most sim heavy of all of the ultimates. But yeah, I don't know. It really made phase 1, or, you know, phase 1 limit cut, as well as phase 3. Those are the only things you can sim. All of phase 2 you have to learn, which is probably why it made it the hardest phase. And then all of phase 4 you have to learn too. So, yeah, so again, we had 3 deaths in this phase, and the DPS checks in this fight at this point are not bad at all. There's been quite a lot of power creep with, you know, all of the different potency increases on a bunch of different jobs' abilities. So, yeah, we were able to still knock this out. Even with those 3 deaths, 2 melee deaths, and 1 healer death, we still got it. It was a little close there, but we managed, and, you know, we're on to phase 4 here. And the funny thing about this, Perfect Alex, phase 4, the first time I ever saw it was on day 7 of Prog. So, day 5, day 6. Day 5, we made it to phase 3. Day 6, I made it to the end of Wormhole. And then day 7, we made it here. I made it to the very first mechanic, which is motion or stillness. It's one and then the other, like the opposite of whatever the first part was. And I just completely forgot that it happens like back to back, and died to stillness my first time here. Along with like 3 other people in the party. I think it was like me and both tanks just immediately fell over and died. But this is actually, on the clear, this was my second time ever to this phase, and we one-shot it. So with this party, it took us 2 pulls to clear the fight. This was day 8, and if you even want to call it a day, because we literally had 2 pulls. We walked in, wiped to something early, and then on the second pull, we made it this far. It was my second time ever seeing this phase. Again, the first time I died to this mechanic. So, you'll see I almost did again here. Stillness is probably the hardest thing in this game, to not press any buttons. But right here, Ordained Stillness, you'll see I forgot to untarget the boss, and that one poke, I accidentally autoed the boss. That was the scariest moment of my life. I just forgot to untarget it, and, you know, that auto came out, and I got super lucky that that didn't kill me. It came out like just before the stillness went off, and I untargeted the boss right after I saw that. I'm like, oh, So I almost killed myself there, but I got a little lucky. I was still learning the timings on everything. Again, this is my very first time ever seeing Fate Cal Alpha. So I was able, with just a bunch of studying, watching guides, watching POVs, and especially taking step-by-step notes to know how this all works. You basically just have to look at your clone here and see what debuffs they get. And then that tells you what you have to do in the future. You can see where Alex does not shoot. That's the safe spot there. So we know we have to be here. I know what party I have to be in because I saw what buffs my clone had. And that's that, you know. That was just a one-shot on that mechanic. And coming up, we have Fate Cal B. And I one-shot that one too. So I was super happy with myself that all of my studying just really paid off. And I can't urge you enough to, you know, stress the studying. Get it done, take notes, watch POVs, like really understand how this stuff works before you go in. Because if you do, you can just do it right the first time. Obviously, I was still a little unsure about stuff, but here with Fate Cal B, I got one of the, you know, slightly harder parts of the mechanic where I get the light beacon, I believe, and, you know, you just have to go stand in your own little spot away from the party, but it really just requires you to have a full understanding of how the mechanic works. And I don't know if I mentioned it already, but this party was a clear for one, meaning I'm the only person in this party who has not cleared the fight. You can say I got carried or whatever you want, but I don't know. That's kind of common in PF. It's like, why would you not do that? If you're progging this fight with a static and nobody's cleared the fight, like, you're going to have to repeat this phase until everybody gets it right. But if you have a party that knows what you're doing, like, and you take advantage of that, you just have to know what you're doing. And it's just more likely that your party will be in the right spot and, you know, you'll be able to get it done. So I highly encourage anybody who is confident that they know the rest of the fight and you're PFing, just throw up a clear for one party, get some people in there to help you out. Because as you can see, literally the second pull I ever got to this phase, we cleared. So that's my recommendation, is that clear for ones, there's no shame in it. Jump in there and have some people who are willing to help out. People love helping out in PF. They want to clear the fight themselves. They want to help you clear. And, you know, I'm going to be in there helping other people clear now because they did the same for me, help repay the favor, and it's just a good time. It's fun seeing people clear the fights for the first time, and it's just really exciting and rewarding to do that with new players. So here, Trines, the very final mechanic, it's basically just a 3-to-1 dodge. You look for the pattern and have to identify where to go. I was able to nail that. I wasn't following the party at all at this point. I was doing all the callouts on stream in my head, and out loud, just trying to figure out what I'm doing and just being super aware of what's going on. I was super locked in at this point, and just, you know, all my studying paid off. I knew we had the clear, and we did end up having another death here at the end. Our other melee, the samurai, I think got clipped by one of these right here coming up. But even so, we were still perfectly fine on the damage check. Yeah, I believe they were just a little late there. Yep. And it's all good. But that was Seki from our community as well. We had two friends in here helping us out. Seki and Chain, who just jumped in for the clear. But yeah, this was all done live on stream. We had a bunch of people hanging out. We were all, you know, super hype. And here's Enrage, you know, we got like 4% left on the boss. It's not even close. There's the first jail going out, and, you know, the boss is dead. So it's just that easy. Second time ever seeing that phase, and it's a clear. So that was T. I love this fight. It's so much fun. I'm just going to let these cutscenes kind of play out at the end. But yeah, I was super hype on that. This was some of the most fun I have had in this game in recent memory. I don't know. Clearing top and DSR definitely feels more satisfying still, but this fight in general is just a blast. I can't stress that enough. All right, and I just want to show the sim real quick, just because I've mentioned it and talked about it a lot. If you just Google FFXIV T-Sim, this will be probably the first result. It's just solo XIV T-Sim by Danger Momentum. It's just this little website. If you click run game, it basically just opens up this player in a new window. I'll get that window out of here. And it takes a sec to load, but it's literally just a game that you can play in your browser. And it pretty much replicates one-to-one the in-game mechanics. So here we load immediately into limit cut, and I'm able to just, in my browser, sit here and do the mechanic over and over again until I get comfortable with it. It really lets you learn and see how things work properly. I'm not really paying attention here, so let's see if I can actually do it. Hit my arm's length, and yeah, we're good. So we just did a limit cut. You can run this as many times as you want. You can actually set what job you're on. And then again, you can come in and do phase 3 as well, which is really cool. So here we're going to do time stop. I don't have anything, so I go over here. And you can really just get the reps in super quickly this way, because again, this is how many minutes into the fight? Like, I don't know, 7-8 minutes into the fight to get to this point. And I can just sit here and do it over and over again with different variations. It'll, in theory, give me different patterns. I just got the same one, but you can always just reset it to try to get a different one. There are different sims out there as well, but I found that this one works perfectly fine for the strats that we use on North America. This all lines up, so this was an invaluable tool, really, because you can just come in here. It looks really goofy compared to the game, but like the arena is basically a one-to-one recreation. I keep getting nothing here, so I have to keep doing this mechanic, but you know, that's just temporal stasis. You can come in here and do Inception and Wormhole as well. So I don't have anything, so I go down here and place a puddle. The bots kind of even adjust for you. My camera's jumping all over the place because I'm on Firefox and it's jank. But, you know, you get the point. You can make sure the heart over there goes through the middle. Make sure everything's in a good position. The bots all move like they should in game. And, you know, this just really made it super easy to understand what's going on, because if I had to make it to this point every single time, it would be incredibly difficult to do so in Party Finder, and it would just take so much more time when I could be doing this instead. I don't know, it just was a very good use of time and made Prog that much quicker. So there's Inception. I'm able to do this now without even thinking while talking to the camera, you know. Where am I going here? This is Wormhole now, so like everything just lines up exactly as it does in game. It lets you get the reps in. It lets you, you know, really know what you're doing. And it's just super useful. Let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. Hit my anti-knockback and go for the stack. And like, I don't know, just being able to repeat this over and over again saves so much time. So I can't recommend this enough. You know, there's some debate that this is like maybe considered cheating. It's a flash game on a website. Come on. It's literally just saving you time from going through the entire fight with a random party, praying that you can even see that mechanic. So in my opinion, if there's anything that you can personally do to improve the consistency of your party in Party Finder, take it, because you're going to need it, or else you're going to be in there way longer than I was. So I don't know. The Sims have become increasingly useful and popular in all of the different ultimates. As of late, they've been coming out with some super good ones for top DSR. T's been around for a while now. I believe UCOB has some Sims. I know Uwu has some Sims as well. And yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't use it. I don't know why you wouldn't. It's the same as watching guides. It's the same as watching toolboxes. It just moves and shows it in real time, in my opinion. So between all that studying, again, I think the most important things for me were watching back my mistakes. I was streaming most of this over on Twitch, so I was able to go check the VODs easily. But I mean, if you're, there's plenty of other ways that you can capture like your game footage. If you're on PC or console, whatever it is, I highly recommend doing that and watching it back. And then the other thing was literally just taking notes. I have pages of notes here in a physical notebook that tell me step by step what to do in every single phase of this fight. I just wrote down as I was watching the guides, as I was reading toolboxes. That stuff is critical. Just mapping it out on paper and in your head, what you do step by step. And even doing that, I managed to miss out a few minor details here and there that, it took me getting there in the fight to actually realize that I had missed. So even with taking notes, you might not be perfect. You might miss out on some details, but try your best and, just have faith that you'll get through it. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think T is one of the best ultimates in this game, if not, the most fun one, that's for sure. Top and DSR are stressful and, they're probably more rewarding to clear, but T is just, it's just a fun experience, start to finish. Getting the reps in at the start, doing phase 1 over and over again from the time you start Prog until the end, it never got old. Party Finder's a different story, obviously. That's going to be hit or miss depending on who you get and how well they're playing. But, some days are good and some days are bad. That's just the nature of it. A lot of it's just fishing for a good party, and once you get a good one, you stick with them and get some stuff done, make some good progress. But I think T is honestly super accessible, super fun to jump into. I don't know. Shout out to Tessin Twintails for making a really good video guide. He was also hanging out and stream on Twitch a little bit, following along. So that was really fun. Shout out to everybody from the community who's been hanging out watching this. I did stream probably, 80 to 90% of all of my prog. I did a little bit off stream, but all of that was done over live on Twitch. And we had a really good time with it. I had a lot of fun hanging out with everybody. Some people were given some advice that, nothing major, but some little tips and tricks here and there that helped out a bit. And then once in a while, some people would come in and, help prog the fight, which was really cool. So thank you all to everybody from the community who took the time to try to help me out. We had 2 people who were even there for the clear, which was really fun. And I don't know. It was just a really rewarding process doing this all in Party Finder by myself, again, with, some people from the community as well. And, all of chat over on Twitch and you guys here watching this video. But it was a very different experience to what I'm used to, which is raiding with a static, with people I'm talking to in voice calls. And having to rely on my own call-outs in my head or out loud on stream, not listening to calls from a party member that I'm, on Discord with or whatever. It's a big change. It's something that I wanted to do to improve myself as well in this game. Just to be more aware of what's going on, know what I'm doing without calls. It's definitely a change. It's not necessarily harder or easier in my opinion, but it does require a little bit more awareness, and you know, I just want to stay sharp and be able to do that myself going into Dawntrail, because this is my plan to party finder all of the new Savage tier that's coming up, all of the both extremes that come out. We'll be doing all that stuff as soon as possible, and I'm super excited for it. Again, this is the 4th ultimate I've done now, so bear that in mind. You know, I may have gotten through this a little quicker after having done top and DSR recently, you know, just having that ultimate experience. Those fights are definitely quite a bit harder than T. So they definitely prepped me to get this done quickly and efficiently. Just having that practice in, playing the game, playing ultimate, doing the harder fights definitely does prepare you for, you know, this older ultimate, which is now easier. In comparison, it's not easy, but it's easier, and those other fights have definitely prepared me for it. So if, you know, you're new to ultimate, I think T is a great place to start. I still think Uwu is easier, but I think this is a more fun fight overall. And I don't think it's so difficult that it couldn't be your first one, you know? You could jump in here and, you know, it might take you a little longer to get through it than Uwu, but there's no reason you couldn't start with T, and it would be a great experience if you did, in my opinion. So I don't know. I think that's going to do it for this video. I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts about this whole process. It has been a super fun 2 weeks doing all this. I am pumped that I got it done in 8 days of actual Party Finder gameplay. And yeah, I don't know. This has been, you know, some of the fastest prog I've ever had, and doing it by myself in Party Finder just proves that, you know, you can get stuff done out there in Party Finder for sure. We're not going to have clear for one parties with the new raid tier, but, you know, there's a whole new set of challenges when it comes to doing new content versus however old T is now. But, you know, we'll cross that line when we get there, and I don't know, just have fun with it, I guess. So thanks for checking out this video. If you liked it, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to come over and hang out on Twitch, because we're going to be doing more fun stuff like this. I don't think I'll be doing any more ultimate, or I won't be progging UCOB before Dawntrail. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'll get bored and that'll change next week. We'll have to see. But I don't know. We could probably knock it out, and that would be the last one. But I think I'll save it for a rainy day down the line in the future. Might be fun to do it with New Dragoon once that comes out, next expansion in a month. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it'll be fun either way. And yeah, if you want to come hang out on Twitch, be sure to check the link down below. If you want to hang out in Discord to see updates when any of this type of stuff is happening, there will be a link to that in the description as well. And if you're looking to prog T, if you're looking to get into it, if you've never done Ultimate, I can't recommend it enough. Just jump in there. Once you get your foot in the door, you'll see it's not that bad, and it's very easy to become addicted to the prog and to Party Finder, and you just want to keep going, and you'll always be saying, oh, just one more party. That's what I found myself doing. Party Finder, you know, if you get a bad one, if you get a good one, you're always immediately back into the Party Finder listings, thinking about getting into that next party. Even now that I've cleared, I'm still going for re-clears. I've yet to be able to find another party that can clear this fight. It's been tough out there trying for re-clears. We got to Enrage and had what is possibly the saddest wipe ever. I'll put the clip at the end of this video, but I don't know. I need more shiny weapons. So I'll be back in there, and hopefully you guys will come hang out and check it out sometime. So thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next video, and hope you have a good one. Peace. All right, we're going left. Oh, that is so sad. Tragic, honestly.